20 years ago, a seed was planted and cared for. We painstakingly nurtured it and weathered it against adversity until one day it blossomed and the fruits of our labor began to show. Today, millions have learned, shared, and been inspired by what our community has produced. We proudly serve 21 million users from 204 countries in 2019. For our 85,000 technical articles, code samples, and videos, our 450,000 forum questions, and our highly anticipated conferences and events featuring keynote panels, live streams, and industry experts and influencers. We recognize and reward members for their dedication to the community. Through content contributions and mentorships, we ranked number 2,620 in the world with a reach of millions across our social media channels. Thanks to you, our global community of software and data developers grows stronger each day. For more information, visit us at CSharpCorner.com.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of CSharpCorner Growth Mindset Show. My name is Mahesh Chand, the founder of CSharpCorner. Welcome to the show. Looks like I have some bright sun is coming to my window. Should be gone soon. Maybe I should move a little bit. It just started. It's a nice, bright, sunny day in Philadelphia. It's pretty cold outside, actually. Snow outside. We got about I think 6 to 10 inches of snow in this area. And if you are joining us first time, welcome to the show. If you are a regular visitor, welcome back to the show. In this growth mindset, this is every Friday. We do 10 a.m. Eastern every Friday. And we talk about growth mindset. We talk about the growth, personal and professional growth. We talk about careers, job. We talk about community. And any questions you have about anything. It can be, about career, about programming, about community, about growth, startups, consulting, anything you have questions. Just feel free to post your questions. This show is for you. So I want to make sure you get benefit out of it. If you are joining us and you think your friends and coworkers can benefit from it, they can learn something from it, please let them know. Share on your social media, let them know, and let's get started. So today's show, we are first going to talk about startups and companies and how to build companies. And focus is just, if you are somebody who plans to start your own company, either it's a consulting company or it's some product company or service company, we're going to focus on that a little bit. And then in the second half of this, after 20 minutes in the show, I'm going to bring a guest. He's a friend of mine. He started his own company. He's a technical background, then he started his own company and running a successful company now here in Philadelphia area. So Vigyan, we are going to have, ask him his experience, how he built the company, what are the challenges, what are the, problems he faced and how did he overcome and so on and so forth. So let those start, have your questions start coming. Any questions you have? Good evening, Deepak. A lot of people looks like joining us already from different places. Welcome to the show. Hopefully all of you guys are safe. I know COVID is still growing, at least here, it's not slowing down here in the US. And I also know in India, there's a lot of problems going on right now in the capital about farmers' protests. And I don't know the details, what's going on there. I know government has some new laws about farmers where they can sell their crops or they cannot sell their crops. So maybe somebody wants to post what's going on there. And also maybe I want to bring some guests on the show where they can give us a little bit insight to what's going on, why these protests are still going on. I wish I knew more details, who's right, who's wrong, and what's going on there. Um, so welcome, Bhaskar. Welcome to the show. Today we are going to talk about how to build companies, startups, jobs, consulting. So any questions you have, guys, you can start, posting these here. We are 5 minutes in the show. For next 15 minutes, it will be me just talking on these, starting building a company, and then share my experience. And after 15 minutes, we'll have guests joining us, Vigyan. All right, so let's start. So we're gonna start about a startup, right? When you think of starting a company, and it could be any kind of company. Company is just a company. It's a business, right? It can be a product, it can be a service, it can be consulting, it can be usually some, it can be also an app, right? It can be app direct serving consumers, right? It can be a delivery app, for example. These are all startups. And then the person who start these companies is usually the founder, right? He comes up with the idea, and then the biggest challenge is once you have an idea, how do you turn your idea into a working product, right? So you have this idea. Let's just say you have idea. I want to build an app where people can go on the app and start placing order online. Let's say food delivery service, and then there is some shop or some restaurant or some store, they can deliver that food or something they're ordering from that. So how do you take this idea and build into this product and launch it in the right? So that's kind of life cycle of a startup, from idea to launch. And there's certain things you also have to do with launch. So the person who usually comes up with this idea is usually a founder, and sometimes there are more people, sometimes there are more than one person who are coming with ideas together. There are startups, they've been built by four friends, they started together. You look at the history, for example, Google was, it started with two friends in college. They start thinking about some ideas and trying to solve problems, how to do web page searches. Look at Facebook, there were a few people working together. Look at all these companies, if you look at, they're like same thing with Twitter. So in most cases there are more than one founder, in most cases, that the successful startups. And there is some startups started by just one guy, one person, and then they hire more people there. So once you have the idea, you have founder or founders, then next thing is you need to work on the building the build refining the idea and building the product. And to do that, you need a team. Or if you are a technical founder, for example, we are here talking about the technical startups, right? We're not talking about a startup that does not include technology. You What you do is you basically work with either, I see a lot of founders, they create product first by themselves. It's a website, they will create the website, and then that's how they start with. So same thing in case of, if you are not a technical founder, you need to find somebody who can help you build the product. That's the first priority. And in our case here, whoever is joining us, good thing is all most of you are technical, so that part is covered, right? So in a startup, when you think of building a team, you need to also think about who is going to do what work besides building the product. So let's say you are technical, you can build the product. You also need somebody who can then um, you know get funding. You need somebody who can market it, you need somebody who can sell it. So that's how you need to start building the team. um, Again, welcome to the show. We are almost 10 minutes in the show. This is a growth mindset show. Everybody who is joining us, welcome to the show. Feel free to ask your questions in comments. You can post any kind of questions, right? We are not here restricting that this question is only for certain topics. You can have any kind of question. Just let your questions keep coming. Yes, there's definitely new setup here. I forgot to tell you guys. This is the most exciting part. As you can see, my background. I have worked on my background. So I have my favorite quotes in the background. If you can see, I have Swami Vivekananda here. I have Mahatma Gandhi. I have Churchill here, and Buddha, Bill Gates, and a mindset poster. So all these quotes are my favorite quotes. Maybe one day I will start sharing what these quotes are. For example, this is they have a meaning. All these quotes have a meaning, and there's purpose behind them. I have two more posters coming up. They're almost ready. One is from I think one is from Nelson Mandela, and I posted, I posted one on my Twitter account as well. So yes, I am working on my office. That's my goal, my personal goal next 2 3 months is I'm gonna set up my office. This is in my house. I have a dedicated office called home office. Nobody comes in my office. Once in a while, maybe my daughter, she will just run around, and then my goal is by next 2 3 months I'm going to have three different setups in it. One is this that setup, other is a couch setup, and there will be some standing setup or something. That's my goal. So good notice. Definitely, you have any questions about my setup, feel free to ask. You can ask again. You can ask any kind of questions here this show. You can talk about politics, you can talk about products, you can talk about any new products launch. So I think I was talking to Simon a little bit ago, and then Microsoft just announced a new project called Project Viva or something. I didn't get a chance to look at it, but looks cool. I think it's for companies and employees. So we're going to also look at that. While I'm continue talking about these startups and building businesses, I want to also add a couple of minutes talk about our shows. So if you noticed, on C Sharp Live, csharp.live. If you are joining us first time, you can go to csharp.live, where you will see all C Sharp Corner live shows. And right now we have, one show scheduled every day except Sundays. And most of the shows start around 10 a.m. Eastern. So you can go to C Sharp Live. There's different show on Monday, different show on Tuesday, different show on Thursday, and there's different theme to it. If you are somebody who is senior, who is successful, who have experience, you would like to come on our shows, I think there's an option on that show's website. You can say, I want to become a guest on your show. So feel free to click on that link, and you can fill out your name and what you want to talk about on the show. We invite guests on each show. Almost every show has a guest. So if you're somebody who wants to, who has a topic, who wants to talk about it, and you want to come on our show, we would love to have you on the show. If you look at the comments, there are links already being posted on the comments, so you can click on that and you can fill out, and you have to explain what show is your interest, what show you want to come on, and why you want to come on the show. So we talked about the shows, we talk about what we're going to do today. We also talk about the current affairs. There's one more thing we are working on C Sharp Corner. We are working on bringing live daily tech news to you. So we are working on a new show that will bring daily tech news to the show. So every day you can come and watch the show, and you can know a bunch of major tech news. For example, I know just a couple of days ago, Amazon CEO, right, Jeff Bezos, he kind of moved on from the CEO role. So, and Microsoft is launching product, and Google is launching product. All these news, our goal will be, we are going to bring daily tech news live from different sources. So that's something we're working on. It should be announced soon. I think in the next few weeks we will be announcing the new show. On Saturdays, we are announcing one show again. Tomorrow is the first show. Is Saturday. Saturday we already have David's show. David has his own .NET Dave. He has his own show Saturday, but after that we are also adding one more show on Saturdays that will focus on jobs, recruiting, and consulting, and uh, mostly around what kind of jobs are there in the market, companies, which companies are hiring, what are the salaries, how to get better salaries, how to negotiate your salaries and consulting rates, and how to find a project. So that show will be all just focused on that. So as you can see, we are adding a lot of live content to the community now. So far C Sharp Corner has been okay. You go find an article, read an article, learn programming, copy code, or take some, that's has and ask questions forums. But now we want to bring more and more live content to you. And that will also include current affairs. For example, any problems are going on in the world, we want to also talk about that, such as this new problem, big problem going on in India right now. We want to bring that to what's going on there, what's in, how we can understand this better, how other our viewers can understand this better. That's what we want to go into there. So, all right. So we have 5 more minutes left in this before we have guests join us in. So I want to go back to our how to build a company, right? So we talked about founder is the person usually who comes up with the idea and say, I think I want to build this company or product, which is, or it could be a service. Then you build a team is the group of initial, I would say, initial hires, or they can be a founding team. Founding team, there are more than one person is founding the company. They call co-founders. So sometimes you hear, you go to the LinkedIn profile and you see this person is a co-founder of this company. They're basically, founded a company with some other people with as founders, right? Then after that, you need to build a product is either you can build yourself, your technical, or you need to hire developers. So those are your initial employees to help you build the product. So what happens once you build the product, right? Now your product is ready. That's really hard work to start after that, right? So either you have to figure out, either hire a team or your own employees, or you want to hire somebody who can now take this product and market this. In marketing, you can hire an agency, you can have your own team. So at some point you need to figure it out, that and some startups have this role called CMO is Chief Marketing Officer, and their job is to market your product or company. One, and then there's a sales part, right? If you're selling something, you definitely need a sales team. So that's kind of, so you start with the founder, co-founders, you build a product, they need to market and sell. But during this time of doing all the thing, you need money, right? Without money, you cannot hire people. Nobody's going to work you without money. So you need to go get money, and that's called funding. And then to get the funding, and then there's different kind of funding, and we'll talk on our probably future episodes but you need to probably hire or engage somebody who has done that. Usually these people, they have there's big network of investors, they have connections. Some are angel investors, some are VCs, and some are in between. And you hire them, and the way you work is they work on a commission base. Mostly they charge a commission fee for raising funds, and the commission can be from 3 to 5%. That's pretty standard. So they charge up to 3 to 5%, depends on how much they raise. Sometimes less you raise, they charge more, 5%. If they end up raising a few $1,000,000, it's probably 4 or 5%, 3%, 4%. So it's all negotiable. um, and then once you have funding, obviously we're going to have a full episode just on funding. Once you have funding, then you go and engage your marketing and sales team, and that's how really you grow. So this is kind of brief about how you want to start a company and a startup. And then let's have your questions coming. So again, this whole show is all about you. This show is all about getting your questions answered. It's not for me. I'm here to make sure I answer your questions. And we have our guest here in the studio. So today's guest is, let's invite our guest Vigyan. And Hey, Vigyan, good morning. How are
Hey,
you?
good morning. Good morning, everybody.
All right, you looking sharp. That's
Thank
your
you.
nice background there.
Yeah, I'm in the office right now.
Okay, all right, all right. So, yeah, welcome to the show, this growth mindset show. On this show, all we talk about is different topics. They range from anything. They are range from personal and to professional growth. We talk about any questions. We talk about companies, and mostly we, invite like yourself. I know you for what, many years now? I would say 15, 20 years. And I remember. So, a little background on Vigyan. When I met him, you were working as a DBA, and then
Yes,
since
this
then
is
I
how.
know you are starting your hotel business, and then you started your own technical, this company, product company, and now you full time running the company. So if you don't mind, maybe you want to start little your background, like where you come from, humble background in India. How did you come, and how you were DBA, how did you start, what made you to jump through these businesses, right? Why did you leave your full time, secure job paying good money to go through these hustles and start your own business?
Great. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's great to be here. And I also wanted to thank entire CSharpCorner community. I think you are doing great job. I see a lot of articles. I search something. I occasionally find even unrelated searches. I find CSharpCorner. So it's a great work, Mahesh. So it's really impressive what you have built in last 15, 20 years.
Thank you.
So, as far as my story is concerned, as you said, I started as an Oracle DBA, like typical, you know, programmer, system admin, DBA type of job. I work for Fortune 500 companies, and obviously, job is very well defined, restricted boundaries that you have to work with, which is also great. But at the same time, I always had something that I wanted to really try different projects. So back in 2010, me and my wife decided that we want to venture something different, and we chose restaurants as our fun venture project. But later we realized it wasn't fun. Right after we signed the lease, we were all ready to roll it out. We realized that it was a lot of work. But not knowing anything about the restaurant, we dived deeper into the industry and started learning about different things. One thing that we had a lot of challenges with, because we were not a full-time operator, is that we didn't have a good point of sale system. So that really created the need for us to look for something. We tried another cloud-based point of sale system. We didn't really like what we were getting out of it. So we decided to really try out our own point of sale system when we started looking for a second location for our restaurants. This is how MedisPro was born. This is how the software was born. In 2015, we decided that we don't want to continue with the restaurants after having 3 locations of our restaurant brand. We closed everything, and then we kind of moved into completely in the software world. And since then, we are running MedisPro and building software.
Great. That's great. Great story, right? So a lot of us are from the technical background. Sometimes you're like, what, this is great, but that's not really me, right? This is what this growth mindset is all about. Figuring out and moving on and learning new things is what really you want to do in life. So everybody who's watching, is think about, really, if you want to be happy and set, content in your life, you need to, are you, what really you want to do, and that's really the key. And as you said, Vigyan, you were a technical person, and then you jump into restaurant business, and there were some challenges. So
Oh, a lot of challenges for sure.
and then growth mindset is all about learning from that challenges and keep moving on and finding still continue learning from there. So um, when you started this company, right? If
Mhm.
you go back, what are the first challenges as a founder, right? You have to obviously register a company, do the legal thing. If as a technical person, what are those non-technical challenges you faced, and how did you solve those problems? So any of our viewers who are trying to start their own startups or a company, um, what would you say to that? What are the things you learned from it and how they should do it?
So, what my personal experience is that my challenges mostly were around the technical area. The product that we picked up is very complex. When you start some sort of prototype and thinking that you're going to turn this into a product, or initially you were even not thinking that it's going to be a product. So when we started building the software initially, and I remember those days back in 2012, I actually wrote one program myself. I wasn't a programmer from the background, but I, searched. Maybe I may have looked at CSharpCorner. I learned stuff here and there, and very soon, within a month or two, I realized it wasn't something that I could handle. So I started basically contacting programmers, and this is how we built the initial product. My biggest challenge was understanding the industry, and I think this is being in IT for so many years, working for other companies, doesn't really kind of give you, like, you have certain domain knowledge where you're working, but if you want to venture something out, then obviously you need to learn that industry first. That's kind of what I learned, that I didn't have back then enough knowledge that would help the product to be where it is today. And it took me a while. We got there, but it was a learning curve. So understanding the industry, the scope of the product, what you can do within the scope of the product development, I think those were my biggest challenge. And beyond that, as you start rolling out something, the next big challenge that you experience and start building team is making sure that you have enough funding to continue that project. And that's where you basically go to your friends and family, start your seed rounds, and that's kind of what I did as well in the beginning to bring the funding together to continue the product development. There are a bunch of other things that obviously are important in the initial stage, making sure that you have the right accountant, right attorney, right team to execute the project. But yeah, I mean, for me, product was my biggest challenge in the beginning.
So that's a good question. So everybody who's watching us today, we have here with us Vigyan Kaushik. He's a co-founder and CEO of Mahesh Pro. Mahesh Pro is a POS system. We started actually for restaurants industry, and I think now you can even use in different industry as well. Correct?
That is correct. So we originally started from restaurants, but then later in 2017 we got into retail. We started boarding liquor stores and some other mini markets type of businesses on our point of sale. And then one thing that we had to go through, because we really did not have the whole idea about how product is going to shape up in future, and this is something that could have been avoided as well, is that we have to rewrite the entire software again in 2018. The original software that we wrote and we rolled out in about hundreds of so locations, then we realized that we were not scalable enough to be able to continue deploying the software. So we went back, we rewrote the software. At that point, we also kind of re-looked at our existing tech stack, see what we can do for a good cloud-based software. And we did that. And then last year, we launched another product, which is invoicing tool. So from point of sale, it went into restaurant, retail, and now professional industry. And our company now have a full stack of product from actual in-store point of sale to e-commerce platform as well. So we do e-commerce along with POS.
Great. So yeah, I picked up definitely a few things from last conversation, and everybody who's watching the show. Today we are talking about how to build your own startup from ground up. Right? It can be any kind of business, product business, service business. So if you're thinking to start your own company, startups, app, doesn't matter, whatever it is. You have any questions, just feel free to post your questions. Yeah, and I think I picked up from you here is that industry knowledge is very important, right? And being a technical founder, sometimes technically we have limitations, and we have limited industry knowledge. But if you are if you are starting your own startup and you are in the industry you don't know much about, so would you say that it's probably not a bad idea to find a co-founder or somebody who's kind of good and expert in that industry?
Well, you have two choices. Either you can start learning the domain knowledge. That could be learning from any resource that is available to you. It may be a book, or it may be an online resource, or maybe trying it out, what I did. After you have the business, you understand a lot more in depth about the business, or you partner with somebody who already has the domain knowledge. And this is also a great idea. If you don't want to reinvent the wheel, you want somebody who already has done this in the past, then you can avoid a lot of the uplift in the project. Otherwise, it gets tricky because you don't know everything about or you don't know the most important thing about the industry, and then you build something and then you realize, well, you don't have this, you don't have that, and then you go back and keep building. And you can imagine, if you have the product live and it's working, changing product, enhancing product can be a challenge.
Yeah, and I think I can relate to that. I had a startup my own, and it was unrelated to the industry. I had limited knowledge, and then it didn't go anywhere because we were in the wrong place doing wrong thing, and we didn't even know, like, well, market size is not even that big. So sometimes, if before you even start, put your lot of money in the product building, make sure you do all market research, right? What's out there, who's your competitor, what the pricing is important too. Sometimes you think your customer's gonna, when I'm, as a founder, you know how it is. You think, oh, this is your baby. Once you build it, everybody's waiting for you and they're gonna jump on it, right? But
It's
when
not
you go to
like
these
that.
real customers and ask for money, it's a different world.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody jumps on something that easily. You have to create the need. And again, one other thing that I wanted to share here is that when you pick a domain that is heavily crowded, or there are a lot of players in it, you have to have a different strategy than picking up something that is not very well known, or not crowded, or not very many players. When you get into any crowded industry, you have to have some sort of different approach to your overall strategy, even how you market product. In our case, we don't sell direct; we sell everything through channel partners, and being our strategy for sales. But it's very important, as you said, that you got to know the domain, and also how you're going to make a positive impact in that domain.
Yep. So today, everybody who's joining us from different places, welcome to the show. We are talking to Vigyan Kaushik, founder and CEO of Mahesh Pro. We're talking about how to build company, how to build your own company, startup, product, anything about related to that. So if you have any questions, comments, feel free to post in the comment section. So this is our first half. We are going to take 2 minutes break. And when we come back, we're going to continue talking to Vigyan. We will take your questions. So have your questions keep coming. If you have a friends, co-worker, family who think can benefit from these discussions, please go to your social media, share it, let them know. We are talking about here startups. We are talking about here businesses. Bring your questions. All Vigyan is here to share his experience he has done through, what mistakes he made, what you don't want to make mistakes so you can move faster, because we all learn from our experience, and we are here to share what we did wrong, what we did right, and what worked, what we didn't work, right? Correct?
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll take a 2 minutes break and we'll be right back.
All right.
Here at Mindcracker, we create artificial, virtual, and mixed reality games and apps, voice-enabled skills and apps, and intelligent apps, and integrate AI with IoT products. We offer advisory services for innovations and startups. We provide cloud and code security and performance services. We also offer AI/ML blockchain development, consulting, and training. Just visit www.mindcracker.us to make your dreams into a reality. COVID makes us feel like this, and work from home like this. But what if work looked like this? With a leader like this, and a payday that feels like this. Learn how to change your mind and your mindset with the Growth Mindset Show every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Hey guys, can't believe we haven't seen each other since graduation in May. What's going on?
Not much. With the pandemic, I can't really do anything right now.
Me too. I mostly just stay at home, hang out with my dog, and watch the news.
I feel you. Have you guys been able to get jobs yet?
Funny that you ask. Gary and I actually have been working on something together.
Yeah, we came up with an idea for a startup that's an app that will help us stay active since we both have been sitting around so much during this quarantine.
That's genius. I could definitely use something like that. When are you guys launching it?
Well, that's the issue. We don't really know how to build it, so we're kind of stuck.
I know of this company that does startup advising if you guys are interested.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're called Mindcracker, and they'll help you validate your idea and connect you with angel investors and help you build everything from your product MVP to your technical team and even your go-to market planning and execution.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you know how we could get in touch with them?
Yeah, you can just visit their website, mindcracker.us.
That's awesome, May. Thanks. I'm excited to get started on this.
Of course. Good luck, guys, and let's talk soon.
Thanks, May.
All right, welcome back to the Growth Mindset Show, Vigyan. You are here, our guest today. Where are you? By the way, where are you joining us from?
I'm in the office in Bourbon, PA.
Okay, so that's not far from me. It's only about
not far from you.
25. How's this COVID impact has impacted your business, and what are you guys doing to still continue doing the work? And tell us, our viewers, about this. How things going with you?
Well, in regards to COVID, it obviously has major impact on a lot of different businesses. For us, since we are in more a software development company, we are working remotely for most of the time, or if we are in the office, we're following all the preventions that we can in order to be safe. But majority of us work from home. And the business impact, we have a lot of restaurants clients, so obviously restaurants is a majorly hit our industry in COVID. What we have done last year, and we have been very busy. It had actually 2020 has been one of the busiest year for us, or really the busiest so far. We help a lot of clients going online, so that they can open online store. Or online ordering websites, and helping them how to get more orders through online, using some sort of SEO and other means to be able to put them on the top of the search. So some of those initiatives we're taking during COVID, and it definitely has a major impact. But we definitely have learned and together as a, I think whole world now realize how important online ordering aspect is. People in the past, I would talk to some of my clients about online ordering, and they will say, "Oh no, we don't we don't do online ordering." And this now is becoming a trend, and I think has given everybody a different perspective about shopping online and what you can do now being in the store. So we are busy with that.
Definitely. So it looks like your business a little bit pivot from, just POS to more like building their websites and services and apps and so on and so forth. So that's great. Yeah.
We have. So our point of sale system has built-in e-commerce integration in it. So what we're doing is all of our point of sale customers, we're enabling e-commerce for them so that they can accept order online. But definitely it has given a little bit more sort of insight into like what can be done online. And now some of the states are opening online liquor sale as well. So that's really something that wasn't possible in the past, but now there are a lot of options and a lot of things available to order online.
That's great. That's great. So now, everybody who's watching us, please, if you have any questions, feel free to jump and post your questions. We're gonna start taking the questions. But I want to pick up something you said in previously, right, in your discussion, that when you launch your company, you picked the wrong tech stack and it wasn't scalable. And I have seen that time and time again. When first time founders start the company, they just pick whatever the fastest way to build. And I seen, at least personally, I have been part of two companies, not me, but I'm more like I knew the founder, that because they picked the wrong stack, they failed because they were unable to scale quickly. So when, as a founder, when you have to give advice to young guys who are trying to build their own companies, what would be your advice to do research on tech stack? And with, obviously they have limited money, so they can go, spend 6 months just doing research on that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think what I have learned is that depending on your product type. So for example, if you're building a product that will only be used a few times in a day, or if you're building a product that will be touched several times in a day, or it'll have hundreds and thousands of transactions, I think that is really the decision making point. What do you select as your platform? Because if you're dealing with very transactional product that will be submitting tons of transactions, will be very moving from a scalability standpoint, then yeah, you need something that is more robust and that can handle the load in future. So when we build application or product, what I have seen is that usually developer, they will create the smallest database possible with a bunch of tables in there. If they're talking about databases, obviously I'm very technical. I'm very technical, so I like technical conversations. So you start with that. And then you start writing your code, not thinking about it. When I get hundreds of users or thousands of users, how this is going to perform. And that's kind of where it gets challenging. So my challenge was kind of similar to this. I started with a database that wasn't very scalable. And we hosted our platform on AWS, and suddenly from a few $100, it got into thousands of dollars. From expense perspective, and we started realizing, well, we're putting a lot of hardware, and that's kind of a lot of the product need that, because you cannot rebuild product quickly. So what you do is you keep adding more and more horsepower into the platform, and that's what we did. But but later when we kind of found out that this model is not going to work and we're spending a lot more money in our cloud platform, then we came up with a new strategy. It's more basically local processing, or in certain cases edge computing, where we're actually doing a lot of processing within the device before we're pushing the data out to the cloud. And that has helped us so much, because now in our business, when we're busy, we are processing somewhere in the evening, we are processing 8,000-10,000 transactions per second. We get crazy busy because everybody is pumping orders through the system. And you need to scale the system. So if everything is happening on the cloud and you are following traditional API-driven methods to call the data, then you will have a lot more issues, because then everything has to happen on the server side. So the way we address this using a NoSQL database, we shifted a lot of the processing down to the device. So we started moving a lot of the business logic that we built originally in the API into the devices, and that has helped us. Right now, we are highly scalable. We also have built distributed clusters in our backend, so we can go. There's no limit for us how far we can go with this structure.
Oh, that's great. That's great insight. So yeah, building, make sure these are important decisions, right? Then other thing you said is, when you build a prototype, you went to first customers, right? You don't just want to go and launch. You need to pick out your few customers, and I think in your case, good thing was you were your own customer.
Yes.
So that kind of helps. So how did you get your first, let's call them, beta users? And what is your recommendation on that? Like, obviously you don't want to just launch it publicly. You first need to test it out with few companies or customers or people.
Yeah, I'll share a story with you how we got
Yes.
this really into the live environment. Well, before I say that, it is very critical point when you build a company and product. How do you get your first customer? I think it's the most challenging thing, and if you're not into that business, then you have no way to test that out. And who is going to try your product? And if people are running live business that they're making money and they don't want to jeopardize any of their normal operation by putting your beta product into the business. So that is definitely a challenge. And I don't think there is one way to address that challenge. I think you have to really figure it out, what can work, how you can impress people, how you can test well so that it won't cause problems. So that was my biggest challenge as well when we started thinking that we're going to take the product to the market. So for me, I got lucky. I actually one day, me and my wife and two kids, we were actually walking out in a shopping center in Collegeville, and we basically, after we went for a movie, after movie, my daughter decided she loves pizza, so do I, and she said, well, let's go and have this, let's have pizza. And we saw one new store that was really looking pretty interesting. We walked into the store and they had a bunch of iPads on the table and they were taking the orders from those iPads. So I happened to talk to the manager. The manager actually connected me with somebody who was interested in trying out a similar iPad-based solution. And this is how I found my first client in Delaware. And obviously, the putting first client live is not easy. So as you put first client live, you got to go through all real life challenges. So we started with very basic point of sale, and as soon as we put system in the store, we found so many things that we couldn't actually think without having that client. So we spent 3-4 months kind of streamlining those different needs and kind of fine-tuning the product. It was a challenge, and from there on we found some more clients. And so first year was very struggling year because going back and changing product, redeploying it, and in this process you might make some people upset as well. It's not easy, that's really tricky.
Yeah, so that's good. That's a good inside story. That's good to hear that, and this is how it works. So you know how we start businesses, and obviously ups and downs. There's always challenges. Did you ever, in your early days, thought like, man, what am I doing here? I need to quit this and go back to my old job. That thought came to your mind. If yes, what helped you not to give up on your dream?
So one thing that I would say is that I have not thought about that ever. I am always a believer of having a plan A, not plan B, because I feel like if you have some sort of plan B that you can, it may not be very practical to say. You always want to have some sort of like safeguard, some sort of fallback plan. I'm not saying that you should never have plan B. You can have plan B, but in my case, I actually was very much committed to make this work. And so I have not really thought that I want to go back. I just had this very determined idea that I will make this work. And one thing that helped me is that I was always able to add more customers. So when you get to the point where you're struggling and you're not able to sell and nothing is happening, I can understand that might be a little bit of a challenging situation. So one thing, luckily in my case, that worked, that I was always able to acquire more clients and more customers, although I had a lot of challenges, with product, with operations, and we have a huge part of our product is also onboarding when we onboard new client. So we had a lot of challenges there, but we were able to have more clients, and that kept me going with this.
Great. No, that's a great story, and I'm glad to hear that you are not in a situation. Some of people I talk to, they're like, yeah, man, this has been really rough. I think I want to give up on this dream. and that's good that you kept going, and that's great. That's great. So
Yeah. The one other thing that I want to mention is that the one person who helped me not actually giving up on this or not even thinking is my wife. She's a co-founder of the company. She's a very strong lady, try to handle a lot of situations. So that has helped a lot. I don't think I could have done without her.
yeah, definitely. I think one partner helps. Either it could be co-founder, or even, I think that's a big support during the times when things are falling, right? Um, so now we want to move to our next topic, but before that, I'm going to talk about funding. Like, let's take a question from Bhaskar. Bhaskar has a question, which is, what is the good time to raise money or approach to investors? So, have you taken any money, outside money for your company? If not, your yes or no, what do you suggest? And then I can add there too in this.
Yeah, so well, we have been raising money. We have raised a few rounds. So we are doing that, and I think we will continue to do that as we continue to grow. Well, my answer for this will be I think you have to self-assess the situation. If you think you have a prototype, you definitely want to be in a prototype situation, or you have some sort of clear concepts that you wanted to go after. I think one thing that investors don't like is any sort of like open-ended or vague plans, or not being clear what you're trying to do. So you have to be very clear. So when you're clear and you know what you're going to do, you can definitely start approaching investors. And investors might not be easy to really engage at that stage. I would suggest that the best thing is going for friends and family round and see if you can get some help further building the product, and then you might reach to investors. And there are all kind of investors. There are early stage investors. They're willing to take a risk. So yeah, those might be the investors that you might want to look for.
Yeah, well, good, and a good point here is, I think these days the investment is, you are probably more likely to raise money if you have a working product with few paying customers. And you can even show the growth. I think more you show, easier to get the money.
Right.
Yeah. So that's great. Okay, so looks like we are almost approaching. We have a few minutes left in the show. Now, I'm going to talk to our last portion of the show. We talk about really here growth mindset, and we talk about people should how they should think outside of the box, um, and obviously during the COVID times we struggle and all that. What do you do personally, or to when you're not motivated, and when you are not like, I don't feel like working, obviously a lot of us, we are entrepreneurs, startup, we are already self-motivated, but from time to time you will feel like, what, today is not the day, but you still go get up and do things. What makes you do that, and what is your advice to people watching the show?
Well, you have to disconnect yourself. I think nobody can continue to work. We always, you have to have some sort of outlets. So when I feel exhausted, or I really feel that I'm not able to do what I wanted to do, and I always try different things. I like cooking. I watch movies. I go out and do whatever is necessary to do that, and keep myself balanced, and then come back to the work. Obviously, you hit the limit sometime. Although we work almost 7 days a week, several 12, 13 hours, 14 hours a day on the weekdays. There's a lot of working hours, and I cannot figure out yet to cut down that time. But yeah, you have to keep going, and whatever works for you. But for me, I've built some other interests that I usually go after when I feel that I need a little bit of a break.
Okay, great. And then the last question I'm going to ask you before I let you go is, I think you kind of already mentioned this. It's snowing outside. What else do you do for fun? besides working?
Well, I like watching movies. I have watched a lot of movies, almost every week, 2 to 3 movies, definitely. So that's one thing. And beyond that, we as a family, we always have some sort of engaging conversations, and spending time with kids. That's really other outlet that I utilize.
Well, great. Vigyan, I think that was a good learning experience for all of us. Before I let you go, is there anything else you want to advise, you want to give to our audience? Most of them are technical. Most of them are younger age. With the, I would say, what is any one advice you want to give it to them before I let you go?
Well, I would say pursue your dream. There are a lot of things that you could do in your life. If you have interest, if you want to do something, don't give up. You may not have the team that you need, you may not have the money that you need, but if you have the idea and if you're strong and determined, everything will come together and help you in your mission. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to build a company or even help a company or department that you're a part of, just keep doing. There are definitely challenges and issues in whatever you do, but don't give up if you really wanted to succeed.
Oh yeah, and one more thing. I got one more thing. You have a son. He's quite of an entrepreneur. You want to tell us a little bit about him? He's young kid, and we definitely want to bring him on our show too. There are different shows. Can you tell our viewers about your son and when we can have him?
Yeah, well, he's another part of actually our youngest developer. He has done a lot of things for the company. He's been obviously watching this company grow. He started learning programming in a very early stage. He was teaching other students in his class when he was in 6th grade. So he's been really passionate about the programming. He has built one of our algorithm in our printing, in our POS for printing. That was one of the most challenging thing for us in the past. He's now 17 years old. He's going to go to college this year, but he's very passionate, and I think he'll be a great speaker and be to come doing. And
Well,
he has.
that's a great, Vigyan. Good to hear this and good to catch up with you. We definitely enjoyed having you. And thank you so much for coming on the show. It was very last minute, I know.
That's all.
And have a good weekend and enjoy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you.